Chemical basis of life. Well, all living things are made of chemicals: carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, lipids, some other stuff. Your textbook has a wonderful chapter on chemical basis of life, which is really just a quick summary of a chemistry course that you had in high school and probably also in college. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time of just kind of recapitulating knowledge that you already should have. That chapter is more like a reference chapter for you. If you forgot something, you check it in there. Uh, in general, your textbook is excellent. It provides you with texts, with images, with videos, and at the end of each chapter, there's a summary, which is like a text, like a study guide in itself. There are questions, which you can also use as a study guide or a way to study, and then it has kind of a critical thinking exercises, which I strongly advise you to do. Try to do your own thinking using the material from that chapter, and that's kind of a test. Did you really learn it? Do you actually understand it? Which means, can you take that information and apply it to different problems in different situations? When we talk about chemistry and chemical basis of life, we tend to focus on the matter. Tend to focus on materials of which the body is made, those same proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acids. But what is really more important, and it's better to think of it that way, is to think of chemical basis of life as energy. Focus on energy. Every molecule, every chemical we are made of, our body uses for a specific reason in manipulating energy. Remember from the very beginning when we were talking about what makes life, what are the definitions of life, what makes something living and something non living. And the most important distinction is that a living organism can take in, store, convert them, kind of the form of, use, and dissipate energy. So when you think about chemical basis of life, think of various molecules as various mechanisms that our bodies use to take in, store, convert, use, and dissipate energy. Each one of these molecules is there because as a specific, cog in the machine for manipulating energy. So think of chemicals as sources of energy, as storage of energy, as converters of energy, as dissipators of energy. Molecules are made of atoms, and atoms are bound to each other using various chemical bonds that you're going to all learn about. There's ionic and covalent, weaker bonds like hydrogen bonds. And each one of those bonds contains energy. It's a way for that molecule to store energy. Breaking down that bond is going to release that energy. That energy can then be used by other molecules to take it, convert it into some other form of energy, or to make work. Because the energy is, by definition, capacity to do work. What does it mean, work? That means to move something, right? To move an object from A to B. And that is what is happening in all our cells all the time, in our body all the time. There's always a movement. Some molecules are moving around, liquids are moving around, our lungs are moving in and out, our heart is beating. So there's always a lot of movement. And that movement requires energy. And that energy is stored in the chemical bonds inside of molecules and is released by breaking down those molecules, stored, used, converted into different types of energy like heat when necessary, and dissipated out of the body. So think of chemistry as energy. Where does the energy come from? From the sun. We can't take energy out of the sun. Yeah, you can sit out in the sun and get a little warm. That's not sufficient. We get energy by food. The only way the living organisms can get energy from the sun is by being a plant. The plants have evolved a mechanism called photosynthesis plus Kelvin cycle. Photosynthesis is a set of biochemical reactions that takes the energy of the sun and binds it into molecules, binds it into molecules of NADPH and ATP. ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is what is commonly called uh, a biological energy currency. Energy currency. All biochemical reactions in any body, our bodies or plant and animal bodies, can take the energy by breaking down ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That means it has three phosphate groups attached to it in a chain. By cleaving off one phosphate, the second phosphate, the third phosphate, we gain energy that can be used for any other biochemical reaction that needs that energy. Um, all the biochemical reactions that break down other molecules are called catabolism. All the biochemical reactions that put together bigger molecules using energy and the smaller molecules to put them together into bigger molecules is called anabolism. Anabolism and catabolism together constitute metabolism. Everything that's happening in our bodies all the time is metabolism. There's always something being broken down, releasing energy, and there's always something being built up using that energy. So the only way we get energy is by eating a plant, or indirectly by eating an animal that ate a plant. Uh, so we get that energy in the form of energy stored in the chemical bonds of various molecules. So when we eat things that contain proteins, carbohydrates, nucleic acids, and lipids. What happens? It goes through our digestive tract. Our digestive tract is officially outside of our body. There is nothing that can pass from the food in our intestines and our cells without passing through the cells of the intestine that are going to act as a border crossing. Not everything can pass through, and almost nothing passes through in this original shape that it came in with. So when we eat food, we are getting all that energy, which goes into our digestive tract, which is outside of our body, where we inject various enzymes from the pancreas and from the intestine into that tract. A bunch of water there too to dissolve it in order to break down those larger molecules into much, much smaller molecules, into the building blocks. So every protein is broken down into individual amino acids. Every nucleic acid, DNA or RNA, is broken down into individual nucleotides. So you get your adenine or thymine or cytosine or guanine, individual nucleotides in a solution. There's no more sequence of DNA or RNA. Big sugars are broken down into small sugars. Lipids are also broken down in a more complex manner, depending on the type of lipid, because there are different types. Triglycerides are digested and broken down differently than steroids. We're going to look at that a little bit later when we do the digestive system. So all those tiny little building blocks are then absorbed by the cells lining the intestine, putting those things into the bloodstream that goes straight to the liver. Before it goes anywhere else, it doesn't go into circulation, it goes into the liver, and the liver finishes up the process of breaking down, storing, and then rebuilding from those molecules our versions of those molecules. So if you eat a piece of cow, you're not going to be uh, allowing cow proteins to enter your cells or cow DNA to enter your cells. Those proteins and those DNA and RNA and sugars and everything else is going to be completely broken down into the building blocks. It's like you eat a big spaceship make the Legos, and your digestive system is going to break it into individual Lego blocks. Now your body can take those individual Lego blocks and make your own airplane Lego, because that's what we need in our bodies. We don't need spaceships, we need airplane Legos, made of Legos. So liver is going to do most of that work, breaking down bigger molecules, foreign molecules, into the building blocks, the smallest building blocks, and then which releases energy, and then using that energy and those little blocks to build. That's now anabolism, anabolic reaction to build our versions of proteins, our versions of lipids, our versions of nucleic acids, which means that the sequence and shape of the proteins, nucleic acids, lipids, and carbohydrates in our food do not matter. If it's digestible, if our enzymes are capable of breaking it down, then they can be absorbed, and we can use those building parts, those little Lego pieces, to build our own proteins, our own lipids, our own carbohydrates, our own DNA and RNA. So the sequence is not important. It doesn't matter really. Do we eat, something that's synthetic? Do we eat plants? Do we eat animals? Do we eat GMO products? Doesn't matter, because our GI tract and our liver are going to break all of that down into the basic units and then build our own molecules as we need them. So that's how we get the sun's energy into us, by ingesting molecules that plants have built using sun's energy. And then maybe another animal has eaten a plant and transformed those molecules into different kinds of molecules, again capturing some of that energy into the chemical bonds within those molecules. We eat them, digest them, break down those bonds, take that energy, use that energy to build our own proteins, our own nucleic acids, etc. So uh, everything about chemistry is really everything about energy, how our bodies take in, break down, store, convert, and dissipate energy, which is what makes us alive. So I urge you to read the chapter on chemical basis of life, and all the chapters. Their book is excellent. Read the summaries. That's your study guide. Read the questions and try to answer them at the end of every chapter. Read and try to answer the critical thinking questions at the end of each chapter. Likewise, I'm providing you my own texts and my own images and my own videos and my own questions and my own study guides. So uh, there's might be some, a few things that I mentioned that are not in the book. You're going to learn them from the materials I provide. If there's something on a study guide that you're completely baffled about, ask me. You can ask me in lab, you can ask me by email, and I'll see. Some of those kind of study guide questions are more like those critical thinking questions at the end of each chapter, kind of thinking through, like, why is all life based on carbon? Your textbook doesn't exactly answer it straightforwardly. Do your own thinking, try to figure it out, and maybe we can discuss that. Okay, so this is all I wanted to say about the chemical basis of life. There is a wonderful chapter for you to read, and there is my own text that I posted in lecture materials about the chemical basis of life. So read that and ask questions if anything is unclear. This is really just kind of recapitulating what you should already know from previous courses. We are not going to spend too much time on this. We need to build on that, see how the chemistry and kind of the basic biology are fitting into our course into anatomy and physiology.